You're welcome. My name is Mazino Peel. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Now let's begin by telling you that Nigeria's national power grid has collapsed again, plunging the country into a blackout just the day after a partial outage. Data from the Nigerian Systems Operator showed power generation dropped to 0 megawatts at 11:30 a.m. local time, impacting all 22 power plants nationwide. This latest collapse highlights ongoing challenges for the transmission company of Nigeria in stabilizing electricity supply. Nigeria, with over 200 million people, frequently experiences outages due to aging infrastructure, vandalism and gas shortages for its thermal plants, which produce 75% of its power. Despite having capacity for 13,000 megawatts, the grid can only distribute about a third, leaving businesses and households depending on costly fuel generators. And in the meantime, the transmission company of Nigeria has attributed Thursday's national grid collapse to ongoing repair efforts in the power sector. In a statement, TCN spokesperson Ndidimba explained that the grid disturbance occurred around 11:29 a.m., triggered by a sudden rise in frequency from 50.33 Hz to 51.44 Hz. While assuring the public of continued efforts to improve the grid stability, Mba noted that some level of instability may continue until major repair work across the power sector is fully completed. And now to security matters. Nigeria's defense headquarters has announced the existence of a new terrorist sect in the northwestern part of the country known as Lukarawas. The director of Nigeria's Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, while accusing residents of some of the states in the region of embracing the group, says that they refuse to report the activities of the terrorists. General Buba, however, assured citizens that operations are currently ongoing to dislodge them from the country. Amadin Uyi reports.
The briefing was supposed to update citizens of the ongoing operations against terrorist groups and criminal elements across the country. However, it came as a shock to those present as the director of the Defense Media Operations announced that the military had identified the existence of a new terrorist group in the northwestern region of the country.
Troops are confronted with a new terrorist sect in the northwest. This sect is known as Lakurawa. The Lakurawas are affiliated to terrorists from the Sahel, particularly from Mali and Niger republics. They began incursion into northwestern part of Nigeria, namely Sokoto and Kebbi states. And like I mentioned, they came in from Niger and the Mali axis.
He accused residents in the area of embracing the group, but assured that the military is already working round the clock to dislodge them from the country.
When they came in, did the people see them? They saw them. What did they do? They embraced them rather than report them. And what has that resulted to? The people saw them as friends. The same friends they thought were friends have turned to foes. And we did not get this report on time until we started creating some havoc. We are on top of that situation. We have sustained our intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and accordingly carried out air interdiction, ground offensives to degrade these terrorists, find them, flush them, until we finally defeat them, the same way we have defeated terrorist groups in the northeastern part of this country.
The director urged citizens to be security conscious and partner with the military, especially in the area of intelligence sharing. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Now let's take a look at the genesis of terror groups in Nigeria. Led by Mohammed Mara, aka Maitatsine, the radical religious group emerged in Kano with anti-establishment ideology sparking deadly riots in the 1980s. Following Nigeria's return to democracy, some northern states adopted Sharia law, leading to increased religious polarization and fueling extremist sentiments. Founded by Mohammed Yusuf, Boko Haram emerged in Maiduguri, promoting a hardline Islamic ideology and opposing Western influences in education and governance. Abubakar Shekau took leadership of Boko Haram, escalating violence and targeting civilians, government institutions and schools in a campaign of terror. A splinter group from the Boko Haram Ansaru adopted a more global terrorist approach, aligning with Al-Qaeda and targeting foreigners in Nigeria. And criminal groups initially focused on kidnapping and castle rustling began to adopt terror tactics, blending crime with political violence, especially in the northwest. Now, it is believed that some of their commanders were once Boko Haram members. The army has announced the emergence of a new terror group known as Lukarawas. They are believed to have moved from Niger Republic following the post-coup instability in the Sahel. Now, Governor Caleb Mutfwang has assured security agencies in the Plateau that his administration will do everything possible to improve the security situation in the state for the safety of both lives and property. The governor was speaking when he handed over some refurbished operational vehicles belonging to various security agencies in the state. Chizoba Nyonwe was there for News Central and now reports.
This seems to be the first of its kind in recent time through the history of Plateau State, where dysfunctional operational vehicles belonging to some security agencies are rather refurbished than trashed and replaced with new ones, an act many see as waste of government resources. Saving the cost for new vehicles and diverting the funds to fight insecurity in the state with judicious use of the vehicles remain the major concern for Governor Caleb Mutfwang, represented at the event by the Secretary to the state government.
Plateau State government is concerned about the security and welfare of its citizens. We are also working hand in hand with the security agencies. That's why you can see they are all here. So it's a partnership, and so we are fulfilling our own end of the partnership. We also expect that the security agencies will use the cars for the work that they are supposed to use it for, so that they can improve the security situation in Plateau State, especially now that we're getting into the Christmas period.
The newly transferred commandant of the NSCDC to Plateau State spoke on behalf of his colleagues.
I want to thank the government for making a provision of this vehicle in order to enhance our operational activities in the state. Consequent upon this, I want to assure the Plateau State government that this vehicle will be used judiciously for the purpose at which they are meant for.
According to the contractor, among the 80 vehicles set aside for refurbishment, 21 have been completed out of the first batch of 32, while 11 orders are expected to be delivered in the coming days. The remaining 48 will afterwards be pushed into the factory to undergo the same process.
His Excellency, we thank you for the privilege and opportunity you have given unto us to use our experience to bring into reality what we are used to do that we have been doing over the year. We can continue this kind of a thing instead of using cars and throwing them away. We can repair them and they function very well.
While the security agencies remain grateful to the state government for this gesture they have done today, they are expecting that sooner than later, the remaining vehicles will also be given out to them in continuation of their fight against insecurity in and around the state. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwe.
The Federal Capital Territory Police Command has arrested 23 persons suspected of being involved in various crimes, engaging from one-chance scams, armed robbery and car theft. The FCT Commissioner of Police, during a press conference in Abuja, says that a total of 23 exhibits, including 13 vehicles, were recovered from the suspects. Idang Joseph reports.
Among those paraded includes 32-year-old Aji from Goza in Borno State, 40-year-old Amobi from Agu in Enugu State, and 26-year-old Amechi from Imo State. All three suspects were arrested for their alleged involvement in armed robbery and car snatching. The police says that two members of the gang, allegedly led by one Chidebere, who is currently at large, are ex-convicts and have been under the command's surveillance.
This particular gang operates within the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, Kaduna, and Kano states. Their mode of operation includes following suspects to areas that are very, very conducive for them, where they will strike and depossess them of their vehicles.
In a surprising twist, one suspect denied involvement in any crime, while another claims that he was unaware that the vehicle he was given by Chidebere to sell was stolen.
I was going to my sister's place at Karimo, so it was around 11, around 10 to 11. So as I was going, I saw some vigilante men pursuing somebody. So at the end, they joined me that I know who is, they are calling Chidebere, that I came with Chidebere. I told them I don't know who is Chidebere.
Chidebere give me car to sell the car. So he won't sell the car, we'll call the buyer. As we call the buyer, we come price the motor. So we call him to come make him come bring the papers. The papers no there.
Additionally, 12 members of a one-chance syndicate gang specialized in robbing unsuspecting passengers of their belongings were arrested. Several vehicles were also recovered from the gang.
These one-chance operators were all arrested with knives, with which they must have been stabbing members of the public before collecting their phones and before collecting their monies from them.
Upon questioning, some suspects admit to their crime, but claims that they have turned a new leaf.
We saw some DSS, some Yahoo boys inside vehicle, then we stopped them. We asked them to come outside. So when they came outside, now we said, are you Yahoo boys? They accept. So they said, sir, we don't want to go to the office, let's just settle here and everybody go his ways apart.
The police have called on citizens who have had their cars stolen to visit the commands to ascertain if they are among the batch of recovered vehicles. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idang Joseph.
You're welcome back. Now, if you're just joining us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder about top stories now. National grid collapses again, a day after partial collapse. Defense headquarters identifies existence of new terrorist group Lakarawas. And federal government announces free cesarean sections for women in need. Outgoing U.S. President Biden vows peaceful and orderly transition to Trump. Now, ahead of November 16 Ondo governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission has confirmed that sensitive election material will arrive in Akure by Tuesday, November 12th. Addressing stakeholders at a pre-election meeting held in Akure, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu announced that all sensitive materials, including ballots and result sheets, would be delivered to the Central Bank of Nigeria's Akure branch by early next week. According to Yakubu, the election materials will be inspected by political party representatives and other stakeholders to ensure transparency before being distributed to local governments and wards across the state. Yakubu stressed that INEC is committed to well-organized and credible election processes, noting that all logistical arrangements for the safe delivery and distribution of materials have been completed. And Abia State Governor Alex Oti has renamed Abia State Polytechnics Aba to Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu Polytechnics Aba. The governor announced this on Thursday during the commendation service of Dr. Onu, the foremost civilian governor of Abia State, who recently passed away. News Central's Chinwe Ugele reports that there were lots of encomiums poured by the people at the service, which was held at the Uchendu International Conference Center in Umuahia.
Abia State government organized the commendation service in honor of late Onu, the first civilian governor of the state. His family, political associates and friends inside this hall came to identify with him in death. The Catholic Bishop of Umuahia Diocese, His Lordship Michael Okpong, in his reflection, reminded all to emplace legacies that will outlive them.
His time is up before God, as it will be for each and every one of us. Each person has his own appointed time to leave this world. He has been before us in the casket is a reminder to each and every one of us what the end looks like. Nobody escapes it. But what is important is what do you go from here with?
Although in office as governor for a year and 8 months, between 1992 and 1993, lots of people testify to the many impacts he made while in office. Former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, describes him.
Gentleman, honest man, integrity. These are the words that suit him.
Governor Alex Otti, in his remarks, noted that Ono possessed qualities to be the nation's president, recounting all his numerous achievements as governor.
Dr. Ondo's administrative journeys inspired the setting up of the Abia State Polytechnic, Aba, the Abia State College of Education Technical, Arochukwu, the National Ambassador newspaper. It is also important to recall that it was under Governor Onu that the Federal University of Agriculture, Udike, now Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, was established.
Governor Otti thereafter announced the renaming of Abia Polytechnic, Aba.
We as a state have taken the decision to immortalize him by renaming the Abia State Polytechnic, Aba, after him. Polytechnic will henceforth be known as Dr. Onu Polytechnic, Aba.
The first son of late Onu Obiora, who says he misses his dad, says his father lived a life of sacrifice.
He lived for humanity, he lived for Nigeria, he gave so much to Nigeria, and hopefully he inspired people to follow in his footsteps.
Onu's last assignment was as a Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation in the Muhammadu Buhari's administration. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugili.
Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, has announced that free cesarean sections will be provided to Nigerian women in need. Pate made this announcement at the ongoing 3-day Nigeria Health Sector-wide Joint Annual Review in Abuja during the launch of the Maternal Mortality Reduction Innovation Initiative. According to him, the initiative represents a commitment to reducing maternal and newborn mortality across Nigeria. This was established in a tweet posted on the official X handle of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, stated, "The objective of the Joint Annual Health Review is to conduct a thorough assessment of Nigeria's healthcare system, identifying challenges and implementing impactful solutions to ease both the physical and financial burdens on Nigerians." Nigeria's federal government says that its upcoming international air show will help fast-track ongoing plans to concession the nation's airports. Nigeria's Minister of Aviation, during the signing in of a memorandum of understanding with partners for the successful hosting of the air show, says that it presents an opportunity to share ideas and display modern innovations in the sector. He adds that the air show is expected to hold during the first quarter of 2025. Our News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu has more.
Partnership Nigeria's Minister of Aviation seems passionate about. The partnership, which hopes to finalize arrangements concerning the hosting of Nigeria's upcoming air show, will ensure that the event, expected to attract players in the aviation from around the world, will help showcase Nigeria's aviation potentials to the international community and encourage investors to build bridges of collaboration to help improve the nation's aviation sector's infrastructure.
Nigeria is blessed, and aviation is actually the first point of call to any country. That's the first entrance to the country, and that's how critical this industry is. And the minister has been awesome in the last 1 year in, just making things happen. A lot of the policies that are driven within the sector, he's worked on it tirelessly. He talked about the IDERA, he talked about the Cape Town Convention.
For Nigeria's aviation minister, the upcoming Nigeria International Air Show offers a unique opportunity to fast-track government plans of concessioning of airports, promote the African Continental Free Trade Area and Single Africa Air Transport Market.
But this also helps to let people to come and see the kind of potentials we have so that they can also see how they can collaborate with us to develop our infrastructure. We have said it time and time again that we want to concession our airports. There are two key African policies that we also seek to promote by this, and that is, one is the African Continental Free Trade Area, which seeks to promote, free trade within the African region, and also the Single African Air Transport Market, SATAM, which we call SATAM, within the aviation ecosystem in Africa. SATAM is that policy in Africa that seeks to promote a single African sky where there will be no restriction within the African continent in terms of movements of goods and services.
The show is designed to last for 3 days, where stakeholders present are expected to share ideas and display modern innovation in the sector. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Ahead of the upcoming COP29 Climate Change Summit in Baku, Azerbaijan, Nigeria's government has been tasked to present a united voice at the upcoming summit, so to mobilize the international summit for the nation's climate action plans. While stakeholders say much has not been done in the areas of birthing effective policies that will ensure all citizens, including women and persons with disabilities, are carried along in the nation's climate action plans, they, however, express optimism that much can still be achieved. News Central's Amadine Uyi reports.
With many nations, especially developed countries within the African continent, looking forward to the upcoming COP29 climate conference in Baku, Azerbaijan. Preparations are underway by several groups in Nigeria to ensure effective participation and representation of the country. At this session organized by the Global Initiative for Food Security and Ecosystem Preservation, stakeholders present say efforts are ongoing to mobilize a united voice that will present a common front to the international community on the challenges being witnessed in the country.
We want to bring together, mobilize our voice, mobilize the different messages from every corner of the country so that we could present this to the representatives, those that are going to the COP29 in Baku, in Azerbaijan, so that we can inform the globe, particularly the Western world, because these are the people that are, or the countries that are emitting so much of the carbon challenges that we're talking about here.
Adolescent students had an opportunity to present their thoughts on the impact of climate change worldwide. Also, some members of the Nasarawa and Adamawa State Houses of Assembly gave updates on efforts by their parliaments to ensure climate action is taken as a priority by their state governments via legislation.
The Assembly have passed the first reading, is awaiting the second reading and other legislative processes. So that is the level, the status of the bill at the moment.
The bill I sponsored, of which it has passed from the State Assembly and waiting for assent, and waiting for governor's assent, we are looking at a way to bring out a policy, a long-term plan that, when implemented, will address the issue of climate change within our state, and also to bring all stakeholders involved in addressing the issue of climate change.
A disability rights advocate present also gave updates on how current government policies supporting effective action affect the disability community in Nigeria.
One of the biggest challenges that women and girls with disabilities is institutional barrier. The legal frameworks we have, our issues are not captured in terms of disaster risk management, flooding, earthquake, and other climate crises.
The high point of the event was the presentation of awards to deserving journalists' stories bordering on climate change affecting citizens. News Central's Bettina Nwili took the first runner-up position in the audio-visual category. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uli.
Welcome back. Now, the discussion at the Africa Energy Week have ignited the discourse on a critical issue facing Africa's economy, funding small and medium enterprise, or SMEs. These businesses are the backbone of the economy, but often struggle to secure the funding they need to thrive. News Central's Bongani Sisiba tells us more on this.
In Africa, SMEs account for over 90% of businesses and provide nearly 80% of jobs. However, they face immense challenges in accessing capital due to bureaucratic hurdles, a lack of financial literacy, and insufficient support from traditional banks.
We found something like community financing. There were issues, and that's where we have been trying to modify it to see whether we can actually penetrate further. It appears that issues in terms of the interest rates, we know where the monetary policy rate is in Nigeria right now, it's almost 30%. And accessibility, capacity is also something we have been building.
That's where Musa comes in. At Moneda Investment, they recognized the barriers and developed a software to streamline funding applications, giving entrepreneurs access to necessary finance and resources.
Musa is essentially our attempt to expand the reach of the good work that the team at Moneda have been doing. Moneda is a local content financier. For over the last 8 years, we've been supporting local contractors in Nigeria, that find it difficult to access capital from the banking system. As we all know, banking in Africa is very difficult for the local businessman. So everyone has been trying to come up with solutions of how to get capital, to these companies, these entrepreneurs.
The potential for SMEs in Africa is enormous. By addressing their funding and operational challenges, they can spur innovation and growth, benefiting both the economy and communities.
We've identified, a specific type of SME that we absolutely must get capital to, and we've chosen to focus our attention on them. And those are the people that this app or this software is for, Musa, and we call them critical SMEs.
An incredible approach, but how does Musa specifically address these challenges?
We don't need all the collateral. We enable them to get access to capital to do more and more of those contracts. And we cause them to scale faster than they ever would with a bank line. And that's essentially what the vision is.
The future is bright for SMEs in Africa. Proper funding coupled with upskilling and technological support can unlock unprecedented opportunities and foster a new generation of business leaders. In Cape Town, for News Central, Bongani Sisiba.
Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has said he will ensure a peaceful and orderly transition to Donald Trump after the Republicans' sweeping election win. Biden said this in an address at to the nation from the White House. The U.S. president also urged Americans to lower the political temperature after Donald Trump's sweeping election win. And now to speak more on this, we're joined by Laurie Laird, who she's a world affairs commentator. Laurie, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Now, Laurie, if you're there, I'm going to go straight to asking you this question. I'm wondering what steps can be taken to address the heightening tension, just like Biden has just told. He's just asked for people to lower the political temperature. What steps could be taken to address the heightening tension when it comes to the division within America's society following the elections?
You're not the only person asking that question. A lot of people are asking that question, and it's not clear. Tensions remain so high. I'm not sure what anyone can do at this point, but I do think Biden took some steps to do that. He ensured that he would work with the incoming Trump administration. He made those comments, as you mentioned, about ensuring a peaceful transfer of power. And well, that was a little bit of a dig at the Republicans. It is an appropriate thing to say. I think one thing that is important here is that this was not a close election. This was wasn't a landslide, but it was a resounding win for the Republicans and Donald Trump. There's no way of querying vote counting. There are no lawsuits going on as we saw 4 years ago. Nobody is distrusting the result of this election. Trump has legitimacy, at least in terms of votes counted. A lot of Democrats would not like to call Donald Trump their president. But the fact that this is not a disputed ballot, I think will go some way toward calming tensions. But believe me, I think that would be a temporary state of affairs. And in a couple of years, we may be right back to where we were before this election.
Yeah. Now, Laurie, before you came on, we were having conversation from earlier, and we were asking the question, was it the right candidate? Did the Democrats actually choose the right candidate? Well, Harris only had 15 weeks to actually pull off what she pulled, and we could see that running up to the elections, it was a close race. So the question still is, was she the right candidate?
Well, there is a lot of blame going around in the Democratic Party here, and I hear from colleagues that are active in Democratic politics that a lot of questions are being asked, and that the mood within the Democratic Party is pretty tense. You pointed out a paradox here, though, that people did not. Harris had a very short time to campaign, and we see people told pollsters they didn't feel they knew her. But yet that's a paradox, right? She was vice president for 3 years. So it's difficult to sort of square that circle, isn't it? This woman was in the second highest office in the land for nearly 4 years. Yet the American public didn't think they knew her. And that's sort of an interesting paradox. It says something about the role that Harris played as a vice president. I would say that the original sin here, though, was Joe Biden not regarding Kamala Harris as almost a co-president from day one. This was the oldest president in history, and Kamala Harris should have been by his side through so many of the big decisions. The American people should have known much more about her. In fact, until she got on the ballot in July, I almost forgot what she looked like. I didn't know what her voice sounded like. And I think the Democrats made a much bigger mistake by not elevating her sooner in this presidency.
Now, many have said that there are plenty of wins to see when it comes to the Trump win. They've always talked about the fact that perhaps maybe the Israeli-Hamas war might be something that he could tackle, or even the Ukraine-Russia war. What's your stand on this?
Well, I think internationally, we can expect surprises, if that doesn't sound like a paradox, out of Donald Trump. He has said from day one he will solve the Ukraine-Russia war. Hasn't provided a whole lot of details there. As for the Middle East, we know that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, is delighted with the attitude of Donald Trump. But foreign policy has always been a little bit of a puzzle for Donald Trump. He has always been very erratic. We know that he has never regarded alliances as particularly important. He said some very negative things about NATO, going up to the point that North Atlantic Treaty Alliance, which unites America and European countries, and the key bit of NATO was an attack on one country is an attack on all. But during the campaign, Donald Trump said, if NATO members do not spend a certain amount of their national income on defense, I don't care if Russia attacks them. I'm not coming to their aid. Now, whether that is a campaign statement or whether he means that, we don't know. But certainly, I think we can expect an erratic, almost off the hook foreign policy from Donald Trump.
Well, Laurie, I'm going to let you go with a quote from Harris from yesterday. Even when it's darkest, that's when the stars shine brightest. Laurie, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
You're welcome. Now, let's join our business. Apologies there. Now let's join our business desk for business news.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, on Thursday reaffirmed President Bola Tinubu's administration's commitment to the socio-economic growth of the country. Akume stated this during the distribution of startup kits to 689 graduates of the National Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission Youth Transformation Program in Benue State. Represented by its Chief of Staff, Simeon Jungu, the SGF highlighted various government initiatives, including vocational training programs, which he described as life-changing and aimed at benefiting 5,000 participants across the 6 pioneer states. He explained that the program had its grand launch in Minna, Niger State last Saturday, with the distribution of 365 startup kits to graduates, followed by a similar distribution in Jos, Plateau State on Tuesday this week. The Central Bank of Nigeria has given the green light to the commercial, merchant and non-interest banks operating in Nigeria to trade with tradable foreign currencies deposited in dormant accounts created under the Foreign Currency Disclosure, Deposit, Repatriation and Investment Scheme, which were not invested immediately. The bank disclosed this in its recently approved guidelines for the implementation of Foreign Currency Disclosure Scheme, which commenced on November 6, 2024. The CBN explained that the foreign currency deposits being invested by the banks should be made available upon request by participants. Furthermore, the Apex Bank noted that approved banks should provide monthly returns from the scheme not later than the 14th of the next month. Ghana's year-on-year inflation rate has risen marginally to 22.1% in October 2024 from 21.5% in September 2024. This represents a 0.6 percentage points increase in the rate of inflation. On month, the country's rate of inflation fell to 0.9% in October 2024 from 2.8% in September 2024, indicating a 0.3 percentage increase in the rate of month-on-month inflation. The government statistician, Professor Samuel Anim, addressing a news conference in Accra to release the October 2024 Consumer Price Index and inflation, revealed that the October inflation was the highest since July 2024, when the year-on-year inflation stood at 20.9%. He said non-food inflation rate rose to 0.6 percentage points and increased to 21.5% in October 2024 from 20.9% in September 2024, with a month-on-month change rate of 1.4%. And that's all on Business News. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
Welcome for sports. In sports tonight, CAF launches new logo ahead of 2024 Women's Champions League as participating clubs set to receive $150,000. Let's join Favor Itwa for more updates.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil. We go the extra mile.
And in sport, Messi, Adekuroye, Pakistan Alfred, and New Life Ebikemi emerged as standout champions in their respective categories at the ongoing 3rd Doye Wrestling Classics in Yanagwa, Bayelsa State on Thursday. In the women's 57 freestyle event, 3-time African champion Messi Adekuroye from Ondo State claimed the gold. Messi, who is the younger sister of World Championship silver medalist Oduayo Adekuroye, dismantled A.B. James of Dynamite Club by 12 to 2 points in the final, while Faith Eso Suakpo from Edo State took home the bronze. In the men's 67 Greco-Roman category, Alfred Pakistan representing the NSCDC won gold, while in the men's 92 freestyle event, New Life Ebikemi from Bayelsa State defeated Pereziga Obasi by technical superiority. Still talking football, Nigeria's Chan Eagles have concluded their second week of intensive training in preparation for the upcoming African Nations Championship Chan qualifying matches against Ghana. All 35 players have been released to return to their respective Nigeria Premier Football League clubs for this weekend's matches. The team will reconvene next week to continue their preparations for the crucial doubleheader against their West African rivals scheduled for December. One of the team's coaches, Daniel Ogumodede, expressed satisfaction with the team's progress, emphasizing the importance of the MPFL matches in maintaining player fitness and match sharpness. And to wrap up sports update, the Black Stars of Ghana are set to begin preparations for their final two 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifiers by opening camp on Sunday, November 10th, 2024. Players who featured for their clubs are expected to join the camp on Sunday to kickstart preparations for the upcoming matches. Ghana's penultimate qualifier is scheduled for Friday, November 15, 2024 against Angola in Luanda. Just 3 days later, the Black Stars will close out their campaign at home, hosting Niger Republic at the Accra Sports Stadium on Monday, November 18, 2024. Ghana are currently in third place in Group F, 5 points behind Sudan and 10 points behind Angola with just 2 points from 4 matches. However, a single point for Sudan in their final fixtures would extinguish Ghana's chances and they would miss out on the AFCON for the first time in 20 years. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
Up next tonight is entertainment.
On entertainment news, Arya Star's hit song Rush surpasses 1 billion streams worldwide, marking a significant achievement in her career, highlighting both her song's global appeal and her rising status in the music industry. The track blends Afrobeats rhythm with vibrant, catchy vocals, capturing the growing international popularity of African music. This milestone not only reflects the song's widespread resonance, but also signals a broader trend of African artists gaining increasing recognition on the global stage. The success of Rush on platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube underscores the growing influence of African music in worldwide streaming charts. Arya Star's fusion of Afrobeats, pop, and electronic elements has helped her carve a distinct niche, with Rush becoming an anthem for fans drawn to its infectious energy and relatable lyrics. This accomplishment further cements Arya Star's position as one of the leading voices in contemporary African music, marking her as a key player in the global music scene. Amid his father's legal troubles, Christian King Combs, son of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, has taken to social media to show support. On November 6, 2024, King announced he'll be taking over Diddy's Instagram account to highlight his father's positive qualities and achievements. The takeover was part of an effort to spread good energy, with King sharing content that celebrated Diddy's legacy. The first post featured the music video for Diddy's iconic track All About the Benjamins, along with a birthday message marking Diddy's 55th birthday, which he spent behind bars. King wrote that his father's motivation for making music was always to make people dance and feel good. While many followers expressed support, offering birthday wishes and words of encouragement, others criticized the timing of the post, given Diddy's current legal situation. Some even questioned why King left the comment section open, which led to negative comments and jokes. Despite the mixed reaction, King's gesture aimed to reinforce his father's positive influence, focusing on the legacy he has built in the music and entertainment industry. That's all on entertainment news. Moving away from entertainment, let's take a look at what's trending as the hashtag National Grid takes center stage, following the update that Nigeria was on Thursday plunged into darkness as the country's national grid collapsed again. Reports was that the bulk power supply was disrupted around 11:20 a.m. on Thursday. This was confirmed on X by Nigeria National Grid via @NationalGridNG. This is the second time the grid has collapsed this week and the 12th time it has in the last 11 months. A lot of Nigerians took to social media to express their concerns. Let's take a look at some tweets. At Feckerson, may our national grid continue to fall so that the national grid can stand. At Kelvin Soul 01, man, this collapse is now very regular. At Michael_West77, at this rate of regular collapse, it's now looking like a scam. Very soon they will approve 1 mega figure to fix the national grid. At Samson Ada, dear Guinness Book of Records, application for the record for the most national grid collapses in a single country. I'm writing to formally request that Nigeria is recognized and awarded a world record for the most collapses of a national electricity grid. That's all on what's trending.
All tonight, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. National Grid has collapsed again. Day after partial collapse, Defense Headquarters has identified existence of new terrorist group like Karawas. Federal government has announced free cesarean section for women in need, and outgoing U.S. President Biden has vowed peaceful and orderly transition to Trump. Now, to remember, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Able TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.